Hello, ladies. How are you
Happy New
doing?
Year, Queen.
Welcome, everybody. As you're coming on in, I'm sure Tawana asked for your city and state in the
I
chat.
did not yet. We were just chatting it up. I did not ask, but they know what to do. Come on, drop that city and
To
state in
do,
the
y'all
chat.
have been here a long time. Yeah, throw your city and state in the chat. I'm getting us together, Tawana, on our social channels. And if you wouldn't mind, it looks like we are live. I apologize for being a minute late. All of a sudden, my computer wanted to do installments of Zoom. I'm like,
Upgrades. Join the live button in the upper right-hand corner, custom live
yeah,
stream.
so we are live on our social channels. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to the 10K Project. We are the largest community of investors who actively fund Black-owned businesses, but we do so much more than that. We also work on our generational wealth building. So, Tawana did introduce our speaker for today, but before we get into our speaker, Tawana, do you want to tell everybody who we are, a little bit more about who we are, and also talk about the Bet on Black pitch?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we are the home of the everyday VC. And so it's interesting because when we first started, we came up with that catchphrase, and somewhere along the line, we stopped saying it. And what I want to do for 2023 is I want to remind each and every one of you of the power that you have. And so, I was inspired by last week's session when we had Dr. Cherie on, and we were talking about those 18 politicians that were able to hold out and make change, right? And it made me really think about the power we have that sometimes we don't realize it. And so I want you to refer to yourself as the everyday VC, and VC is short for venture capitalist, because we have the ability with our Black dollars to make a difference in our communities and from a wealth building standpoint. And so you're going to be hearing me talk about that more because I think we did a disservice by dropping that. We really should have been drilling that home so that we can get our mindset right. So you are a venture capitalist. I am a venture capitalist. Our dollars can grow and build our communities. They can help Black founders get to the next level of their projects. And we are a thriving community. And one of the ways that we enhance the education and the wealth building for our members is we teach them everything we can find about alternative investing, right? And so we're talking about how to buy hotels and tax liens and buy storage facilities. We've got people coming to talk about the vending machine game and trucking and how to buy pallets. We've got just a plethora of things that we want to educate you on from a community standpoint so that you can find your thing that allows you to blossom from a wealth building standpoint, right? For those of you who are already very knowledgeable, some of these items may be things that you don't already know about. Some of them may be things that you are a master at. And so we'd love your input on some of these things. We also are teaching people how to buy cash flowing profitable business. For those of you who have been around for a while, we started that initiative last year. Actually, Talisha Shine and I, as a result of taking advantage of that mastermind, have started a micro private equity firm. And so, we want you to believe that the things that we're teaching you are not just things that you can, learn about and then just go about your business. Many of these things will be things that you want to conquer and really learn and start a business from it. And so we welcome you to join us here at the 10K Project to do just that. Before I pass it over, I want to talk about the next mastermind that we have. We've got two coming up. We've got the grant masterclass with Miss Beverly Burgess. We've got a second one coming for those of you who participated in the real estate one. We've got now one on businesses. Beverly's going to teach us some great ways to find grants. She's going to talk about some new grants that are out there. So super excited to talk
Actually,
about.
I have a presentation about that.
Do you? Okay. So we'll
want me to
touch
pop in?
Well, no, I'll pass it over to you and then you can give more detail about that.
Okay.
And
So,
then,
go ahead.
hold on a minute. Let me talk about the second one.
Okay.
And then we've got, you don't know about this one yet, Sheree, because I just talked to Curtis today. We've got another business buying mastermind that's going to start on February the 8th. And so if you want to learn how to buy profitable cash flowing business, right, then this is the place for you. They're only taking 15 students in this particular class. The cost is $4,800. We'll get the link a little later this evening, so we'll try to put that in the next newsletter for those of you who are members, and then I'll post it across the social platforms for those of you who are not yet members. You do have to be a member in order to join any of the masterminds, and so if you want to go to the10kproject.com, you'll be able to see how to become a member. I mean, I'll tell you guys right now, on the website, the web designer hasn't been able to take away the discount code yet for the holiday special. And so as a result of that, we will honor the holiday special, because I'm big on when the price tag say one thing, you honor it. I don't care if they marked it wrong, right? So because our web designer is busy, I did talk to him today, but he can't get to it till the end of the week. That holiday special has kind of been extended. So we'll need to do some navigating manually for you. So if you're interested in being a member, email us. You can email me directly at trivers at the10kproject.com, and then we'll get you connected with that sale price. So Sheree, you want to go show your presentation?
Before I do that, the business buying masterclass, do you know how many sessions it's going to be? Do you have any of the details?
It's an 8-week class. It starts on February the 8th. It is $4,800, but they are doing payment plans where you can pay 3 installments or 12 installments. And they may even have it where you can get financing available. So that's new, because when we took it a year ago, financing wasn't an option. So I think that's wonderful that they're doing that. And like I said, there are 15 seats available. They're keeping the class smaller, which I think is a great idea based on how intense it is to keep it a little smaller.
Great. So let's talk then about the business grant masterclass really quickly. So many of you met Miss Beverly last year. She is coming back. She will actually be here in our Monday session on January 30th. So if you have not met Miss Beverly before, you kind of want to know a little bit more about what we're going to talk about in the business grant masterclass, then this that is going to be a great opportunity for you to come in and hear what she has to say. But in our last masterclass, she showed us the grants that the United States government has for businesses. There are lots and lots of grants for all sorts of businesses that are out there. So this masterclass is going to be a deep dive into how you are able to actually get and access those grants. Ms. Beverly has 45 years of experience. She has lots of experience in helping people receive government grants, all sorts of government grants, from housing to business to other types of government grants that are out there. So it's a 6-step roadmap, and it's ultimately a 6-week masterclass. It's going to start on Wednesday, February 15th at 7 p.m. and it's going to go for 6 weeks. The last time each session was about 75 minutes, which gave us plenty of time for Q&A. So Ms. Beverly usually does about 35 to 45 minutes of content, and then we layer her with questions. And it was very interactive the last time that we had extremely interactive because the class size was small. And the replays are always available within the Knowledge Center. So if you missed the class, no problem. If you a year from now want to hear the classes again, no problem. You get them for life for participating in the masterclass. So the 6 sessions are: session 1, how to create a grant strategy. Session 2 is about researching your grants, and we actually she shows you how to do the research to find the grants. Session 3 is about preparing your company to receive the grants. Session 4 is how to apply for these grants. Session 5 is about building your team because you will need a team around you in order to successfully get these grants. And then session 6 is about compliance and being a serial grantee. Yeah, compliance may seem boring, but this is the government we're dealing with. So you do need to at least be educated on compliance so that, number one, you can be in compliance with the grant you're getting, but number two, more importantly, you can get multiple grants. So the bonuses, we will have certain checklists and templates in there. And the year of mentoring, I forgot to, we're honoring this, right, Tawana? People can join in. If you attend the classes live, we do have 1 year of mentoring. By the time we're done with the classes, it'll probably be about 10 months we have left. But as you are going out and you're trying to get these grants, wouldn't it be great for you to have an opportunity to speak with Ms. Beverly and say, hey, I ran into a snag, or hey, what do you think about this or that? Well, Ms. Beverly is coming once a month. It's the first Thursday of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And it's going to be just one big Q&A session where you're able to ask her the questions you have as you're going through the process of trying to get these grants. So to sign up, you have to be a member of the 10K Project. So if you're not a member of the 10K Project, you can join. And then you are able to sign up through the Knowledge Center. So when you go into the Knowledge Center, you'll see a $ and it says Business Grant Masterclass or something like that. It'll be pretty evident. And you're able to click that purchase button and actually purchase access and entry into the Grant Masterclass. The instructions are at the10kproject.com/instructions. That's the10kproject.com/instructions. So you're basically getting a $3,000 value or $2,700 value. Sorry, I didn't do my math correctly, for $300. So this is, very valuable to anybody who has a business. Or if you have a spouse that has a business and you want to try to help them get money or a child or anything like that, you are able to actually plug in to this class. So Tashia is asking, will we get an email about this? Yes, you will get plenty of emails about this. LaSonia is asking about any case studies. Ms. Beverly talked about her experience during the last one. We didn't necessarily do a case study. What was more effective was she actually showed us, for businesses specifically, like, here is the money that is, I don't want to give away too much because it was really good, but like she showed us, this is the website you go to, each of these organizations, this is how much money they have. This is how you pick what organization to target in order to get the money you're looking for. Here's what you say when you get to the person that you need to talk to. Like, it was that detailed.
It was way better than what I've seen in case studies. I mean, she equipped us to really get this done. Like, I mean, other than some of the obviously grants writing and is really a lot about how you say what you want to convey. But the where you go, she covered that. The what mistakes not to make, she covered that. And so she gave a lot of information. Remember, this was the real estate one, and she covered some of the business stuff. Yeah. She wasn't even supposed to be talking about that.
She wasn't, but we got up on a tangent. So we carved out 45 minutes for her to do a deep dive. And yeah. So Ayana's asking, will it cover grants for starting a business? Yes, these grants are available for starting a business as well as growing your business. And Denise is asking, is this class going to be different from the first class? Yes, because it's specifically targeting, the first class targeted housing specifically. This is targeting businesses. So she's going to actually spend the whole time just talking about the different types of business grants that are available. And some of the things she, I'm sure we'll talk about on January 30th is some of the research she's done at the Library of Congress that she hinted at before, and like how we're able to find those specific grants specifically for Black people. Remember, she had mentioned that before. There are grants specifically for Black people that nobody knows about. So yeah, I'm probably going to be in class myself.
I know I'm going to
be with my ears.
I
I might have to get on panel for that one. But again, the10kproject.com/instructions. Again, if you want to sign up tonight, please do so. Ms. Beverly will be here on January 30th, which is 2 weeks before the class starts. So if you want to hear what she has to say, then definitely consider that. And let me just make sure we don't have any questions in Facebook or YouTube. We do not. Okay, perfect. And then I just want to say thank you to everybody who gave me well wishes. I got text messages and emails and saw stuff on social media. I haven't even had a chance to answer people on social media because I literally opened up that part of my computer like 10 minutes before we came on. So I will be responding to all of you, but I really, really, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate all of you and the well wishes that you have given me. But I'm not leaving yet because we have through January that I will be here with you for the January sessions. So with that, I don't have any other announcements. Did you announce the Bob for tomorrow?
Tomorrow's Bob is actually a reunion show. So we're bringing back 4 founders whose campaigns are ending. And we want to be able to see what they've accomplished while their campaigns have been up and what they've done since the last time they joined us. So we have 4 amazing founders joining us tomorrow. So if you're a little behind on watching replays, tomorrow is actually the perfect time for you to come because you can catch up on at least 4 of them.
Yeah. Sylvia's asking about the mentoring group. I know you were in the last session, Sylvia. You should be in the email. I sent that email out a couple of weeks ago when I set up the calls with Miss Beverly. So check your email, check your spam, because you're definitely on that list, Sylvia. If you can't find it, email me directly. You have my email address, and I'll try to get you the Zoom link. How many people in Miss Beverly's next class? You know, we
had about what, 37?
We had about 30, 33 the last time, something like that. So, and it was a nice intimate class.
Yeah, as many as we can get in. I mean, even if she had more than that, the way she conducted class, I think it would be okay, even if we had 50, 60. She was able to effectively answer questions and give information. We even started the Facebook group for any kind of follow-up conversations that took place. So, we'll still have that as well.
Yeah. That's what I want to say, as many. Yes. Well, look, your seat, Patrice, will be there. Yeah. Thanks, Sylvia. Let me know if you can't find it. All right. So let's introduce the topic of today. We did, like Tawana said, we did our session on the masterclass for the student housing, and Kimberly was so impressive during that. She said, well, why don't I come on and talk during the Monday sessions? So we're so excited to have her here today. One of the building blocks of a lot of people's generational wealth plan is real estate. And how many years of experience do you have with real estate? You're on mute too.
Make sure I didn't disturb you guys' announcements. So good evening, everyone. I'm going to date myself. I go back to 1994. So my first property was purchased in 1994.
1994.
So someone else has to calculate the math. Been over 20.
Right. So Sheree, I want to start by just saying, not just real estate investor. We've got a general contractor with us tonight, okay?
Girl
that
power.
looks like us, okay?
Yes. Absolutely. My real estate investing led me down the pathway, and I'm like, I'm about to get paid to help some other people do this, right? And so I became a contractor. Many years later, I think the first time I took the test was in 2003, and I didn't pass, and I was like, oh, well, forget that. And then in 2017, I said, oh, wait, there's a whole lot of people buying property in Detroit from everywhere in the world, and went and aced it first time around. So
Good for you. You know, and that's one of the interesting things is we kind of discover as we're going through our path of just in career or whatever that you are like, oh, but I see a lot of people doing this as well. And I can do that. And I love that about your story where you were, I won't say giving away, but paying other people to be a GC. And now you're one because you saw that need. Talk to us a little bit about Detroit, because, you know, we hear a lot about Detroit. We hear about some of the great properties that are there, the great opportunities. You know, some people may be kind of concerned about investing in Detroit, but are you a native of Detroit, first of all?
I am. I am born. I am from the east side of Detroit by way of Amish country in Ohio, but Detroit is home. Been here since graduating high school, with the exception of 3 years that I lived in Chicago. And that's why I started my real estate understanding. I worked at a law firm and worked for the real estate attorney. And he definitely educated me. If you ever worked at a law firm, you know that the staff does all the work. The attorneys just show up with the folder that you put together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I gained my knowledge of real estate investing from a legal standpoint. And just watching clients come in, and I'm like, wait, I just saw that address last week. This week is selling for, 30, 40 grand more. And so that's what got me interested. Oh, wow, that's like a whole year's salary. Why go to work? And when I returned to Detroit in 1994, I purchased my first property that fall. And I still own that property. That's my iconic property. So I probably never let it go because it was just the first one I bought in Detroit. But Detroit is a ripe market. I tell people all the time, we live in a gold mine of opportunities when it comes to real estate. Anything from multi-units to single family. I mean, we have tax sales. You have all the things of life that normally happens that put real estate in a discounted place. And then we just have a land bank that is not very prompt in liquidating the properties. So you can just, do your due diligence so you can really find a good deal. My last land bank property, I think I picked up for $1,100, and I only had to put in like maybe 2 windows. You just have to really shop. I tell people, don't go buy a gutted property. Just do your due diligence. Don't be in a hurry. Detroit is excellent for real estate.
Very interesting that you mentioned the land bank, Cherie. We had our member highlight, and one of our members. Yeah. What state? Do you remember what state she was in? Was she in Michigan?
Kentucky. It was in the Midwest somewhere.
Okay, maybe it was like Kentucky, maybe it was Ohio or somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
But so we learned a lot about land banks during that session. She was very, very informative, and you're right. I think she got her house. It was something like $500 or something ridiculous like that.
And you should understand too that you have your city, your county, and your state that own land banks. So don't just think it's just your city.
Yeah. Yeah, she bought, and then she put in like $50,000, but she did it from her side hustle, which was like doing taxes for people or something like that, if I remember the story correctly. And, now she has a home that she owns free and clear, a 2-bedroom house. I thought it was an amazing story, definitely.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, talk to us then for the newbie investor, somebody who has never bought a property before. Maybe they've just bought their own house, but they've never bought an investment property before. Walk us through some of the do's and don'ts that you would advise a newbie investor.
So for a first-time investor, I always say, do not jump in over your head. A lot of people watch HGTV. We think I could go to the Home Depot and turn that over. There's a threshold. If you're a new time investor, you should be purchasing a property, I call it, that needs just some TLC. Go change the paint, maybe some new flooring, and get ready to receive some monies. You should not be buying a house that you have to fully gut to the studs and you're looking for mechanicals. You have no knowledge of what it takes to construct a house. And you hear the horror stories of so many people who just have their money just dwindled away. I mean, someone just offered a property to me recently, and they were saying it was ready for this. I mean, they were putting in tile and tubs and had not even put in windows. No heat. So why are you running plumbing with no heat? So we're in Michigan, right? It could freeze. So you really should just get something that needs TLC. Your first timer, you don't have to find a fully gutted house. There are so many situations that could put you into having an opportunity for an investment property. Maybe you lost a relative in your family and the family doesn't want that home. So you might can get it discounted and you go in there and do some TLC. It might be a situation, someone on your block, and they're moving, they don't want to keep the house, and maybe they fell behind on their taxes, and you say, I'll help you create a win-win. I'll liquidate the taxes so you don't have that burden chasing after you, and you let them go. Or they just lost their jobs, they're falling behind on the house, you pick up that foreclosure, it comes with the mortgage, but maybe the mortgage is only $400 and you can rent the place out for $1,200. So find those kind of situations where there's not a real heavy spend on rehab.
So can I ask a question?
Get lost.
When you say TLC, what exactly do you mean?
Yes, just some tender, loving care. It needs a new fresh paint, some carpet or flooring, but you're not gutting the house to the studs. You're not trying to hire roofers and all that.
What if it needs like new kitchen cabinets or a new bathroom vanity? Like, what's the breaking point?
Again, that's the easier hire. I can hire somebody to come put in a vanity. It's no guesswork. I buy a new one from the Home Depot. They charge me $200 to install it, right? I kind of can control that. If I want a new countertop, I can go to the Home Depot, buy a 10-foot laminate top. It may cost me $300. Somebody charged me $300 to put it on, $600, and it's very contained. You want controllable repairs, something that you can understand that because you would do that in your own house, right? I want a new vanity, that's easy. But if you ask somebody to completely run plumbing throughout a house, you don't know if they're meeting code, or they have the latest code regulations, are they in compliance? You don't want something that's just, I call it over your head. That's just too much. You're trying to get into owning another property outside of your home. It's no different than what we do for a first-time home buyer. We give them some homeowner buyer courses so they understand what it means to own a house. And the first-time investor should kind of keep it contained in the same measure, and just try and take advantage of a situation where, like I said, maybe you inherited it, someone very closely, or you're resolving a tax situation. But the house is standing there ready to be occupied with that tender, loving care, or TLC. That's what I would say first.
I would imagine it's helpful to have a budget so that you don't get out of line, right? So you said, get a new laminate counter. Well, do you need granite, right? And maybe there are times when you need granite over laminate based on what you want to either resell or rent for, but know that going in before you start making repairs, right? I remember you told us that in the student housing.
Absolutely. Because that has to tie into your strategy. If I'm fixing and flipping, I want this house to be appealing. So someone walks in, I want this house. So that will govern my investment because that budget is now encapsulated inside the purchase price. I bought it for 10, I got it for 20, I'm going to put 10 in it, but I'm going to sell it for 75. So I know I can cap it. I may put a little more expensive. I may put 15,000 in it. So it looks like I want to take this right off your hands because you don't want to be sitting on the market. Now it's costing you. But if it's something you're going to keep, you don't have to make that extensive an investment if you're not in a community that's going to garner certain dollar amounts of rents. Don't put a $1,200 unit in a $600 community. And it could be very nice and clean, what we call builder's stock, just basic right off the shelf at the Home Depot. No customization, couple $100. It's nice, it's clean, it's sturdy to match the rents you can collect for the region. So always think about investing from two standpoints. It is an asset, and it should all be based on what your strategy is for what I'm doing with the property. How much I'm going to buy or spend on this property is based on what I'm going to keep it, what I'm going to rent it. All those come into play, your strategy. Am I going to buy whole, fix and flip? How am I going to use it? Short-term rental, midterm rentals, they're saying now, like for traveling nurses. So you should always know why you want to own the property. And that's going to dictate your investment, your budget, and your turnaround time.
Very good. Very good. What are some of the things, so for those of us who are not handy, we don't have the direct phone number for a general contractor, right? How do we ensure that we're getting the proper assessments of these properties before venturing into even coming up with the strategy for rehabbing it?
So again, that depends on the level of rehab of the project you're taking on. What I offer as a service, I will go in and I will give someone for a fee a cost guesstimation of what it's going to cost them, what they need to fix. Again, my decision is going to be based on after an interview with them to find out what are their plans for the property. You're trying to put it back on the market, that's going to be one strategy of what I deliver as what you should do in fixing this house. If you're going to keep this and you're going to be renting it out, then I may have another budget and another scope of work to meet that need, because it's based on the outcome of how you're going to use the property. That's number one. And that's what you can do. You can call up a contractor and say, look, I just need to get quotes because I want to know what it's going to cost me to do these things. Now, if you have no idea what you should be doing, then I would say back up out of real estate and go into education first. So we talk about wealth building, and we use the wealth as the acronym, especially for women, because we try and encourage women to get into real estate. So W is for a woman. We're womanly. There's different things that are about us that are different from men going into real estate. But E is the education. And this is what I get from our real estate investor goddesses community, our founder, Monique Holm. We strongly encourage education. Now, that doesn't mean you need to go make a $50,000 investment, because they do have those programs and courses. However, you should get some form of education, just like anything else you do in your life. You're going to investigate it, you're going to research it. We live in a world of Google. Reviews are pretty prevalent. We have something called Angie's List, so that gives you a little more comfort, because this is a company that's vetting contractors to keep in business for themselves. So they're going to try and keep you having the best experience. So it just kind of dictates, what you do. But you never want to just jump out there and say, I'm going to get me a house because I want to do real estate investing. And you guys heard my analogy before, just because you buy a plane, it will not make you a pilot. And so real estate investing is understanding the market, understanding your location that you're investing in, understanding how to work with a team, your contractors, your listing agents. If you're going to sell, you should understand the rules of real estate. Especially you're going to fix and flip, you know nothing about, retaining a real estate agent. That's going to defeat your purpose, because, you just don't know what you don't know. So just do some due diligence, ask around. There's always a real estate investment community in just about every city. You can just Google real estate investing, mastermind groups. And that can give you a lot of information. Now you can ask people who are doing the work, go visit some of their projects, and just wet your feet. Don't jump in blindly and think you know it. I'm just going to make it work. It can cost you lots of money, lots of money.
Would it be helpful for us to join any kind of associations that can help us get some of that education as well? Exactly.
Join one of those real estate investment groups. They have them. I strongly encourage it. I was a part of a group. We have one here. It's the first Friday of every month. And they meet on 7 Mile in Myers. I'm in the Detroit, Michigan area. And they meet the first Friday of every month. Yeah. And then there's also another association that's more of a development group, but they have a lot of real estate and real estate agents. It's called REIT, it's real estate investment developers. And so we all come together and we share knowledge. We share contractors. We share cost savings. We share where products can be, purchased at bulk at, where you get some material breaks in cost and the material based on volume. So, it's just a lot. You should always hold someone else's hand. Unless you've done this or you have someone in your family has done it. I want to get into real estate. I mean, I get that asked, oh, I really wanted to get it, but I'm afraid. Our Real Estate Investor Goddess community is amazing. It's a Facebook group. We do have live meetups, but it's amazing. And there's other women groups, Women in Real Estate. Find a group on Facebook so you can find people locally in your community and start there. That way you're getting some education before you think about moving into acquiring the asset. And then you can acquire the asset with some knowledge base of how you plan to use that asset for your passive income, fix and flip large sums of cash, maybe pay down your debt, reposition yourself. You know, when I got into it, my first property, I know everyone may not be as crazy as I was, but I was in dire situations. And I heard a program today, your level of necessity dictates how successful you're going to be. I was in dire necessity. I had lived at home, you know, grew up, had my own place, my own job, relocated to Chicago. Things went crazy, and I had to move back home with mom and dad. Not a good experience in your 30s. So I had an extra level of necessity. How am I going to get out of this house? I'm going to take care of the debt that I have. But I had this real estate knowledge, and I knew we had auctions. So the city of Detroit used to do their auctions quite differently than they do today. It's really sad. Today's auction process is totally an exclusive process. It is eliminating certain people from participating. You must show up to the table with $10,000. Back in the day, $1,000 got you in the door to the auction, and they actually did live auctions, and you could buy as many as you wanted to bid on. I understand having some control that you're bidding and then you cost, but they should have first and second bidders. They always did. But now you must have $10,000 just to get in the room. And then this past one, if they were really high-end properties, they made you have to have $25,000 that they hold of your money until they decide to pay it back, whether you win the bid or not. So it's a little bit different. And like I said, it's really is a barrier to entry. So, but in that case for me, I used my lines of credit cards, and I went to the auction and I purchased 4 houses using my credit cards. And I found some properties that were occupied. So I knocked on the door, said, I'm the new owner. What kind of rental arrangement? You want to sell it? What do you want to do? And that's kind of how I got started. But in the midst of those, I knew I needed some cash. And then I also had some I knew I can go in and fix, sell, and gave me lump sums of money to reposition myself financially. So I did both in that one endeavor. So 2 I kept, and 2 I fixed and flipped and sold.
We've got a couple of questions. Clifton said, what criteria do we need to determine best markets to investigate?
Okay, so there's something called citydata.com, and you should start off investing where you live. I know there are people who invest out of state. As you heard me say earlier, I service a lot of clients from out of state, but these are seasoned investors. Some of them are not. Some of them are comparing, wow, in New York, I can't even buy a house for $50,000. So it has to be a good deal in Detroit. Even if I have to put $200,000 in it, they're thinking $250,000. That's a good deal, but they're not thinking in $250,000 in Detroit at 6 Mile and Van Dyke, you will never recoup your money, right? Now you may do that investment on 7 Mile in Illinois, where you may charge $1,100 or $1,200 a month for a 2-family flat and get some rent. But if you go to 6 Mile and Gratiot, you might be pushing, even with a Section 8 resident, because these people don't understand Section 8 has changed. It used to be, you know, I have 3 kids. Now they call it 2 heartbeats. So the family is based on 2 heartbeats per room. So you have 3, you get 2 rooms. You know, if you have a boy and a girl, that's on you. But you got 3 people, you get 2 rooms. So you want to be mindful of that. But location should be based on what will the rents be. There's something called Renometer, and it'll tell you what rents are for the area. They'll give you like 2 or 3 searches for free. So get an idea what the rent is, what the value is, Zillow.com or Redfin, REDFIN, will give you what market areas properties have sold. So you know if you're in a good place, not a good place, or you even buying your first, you know, property at a good price. If you want to fix and flip it, you don't want to be too close to the market that you fix it up and you're ready to sell it. It's the same price as the market. You might as well just bought a market house, especially if you're going to rent. So just look at the listings, look at, retometer, see what the rents are in the area if you're going to hold a property, so you can know what kind of rents you can command. Don't get excited. Oh, I'm going to do Section 8. Section 8 does not mean, they've gotten really, like this girl said, oh, I have a $1,400 voucher for my son and I. Well, I know, but someone else might think, oh, wow, I got a $1,400 voucher. She could take my property. But that $1,400 must include her utilities. You don't know how much your utilities are going to cost. So you could be upside down.
Interesting.
So you have to be very mindful that the rules change, especially with Section 8. So ask, what is the family size? I asked the family size because I know it's 2 heartbeats per room. So this guy asked to rent my property. I got 2 girls. Can I rent your house? No, that's just 2 rooms. You only qualify for 2 bedrooms. If I give you a 3-bedroom home and you give me this $1,300, how much of that is utilities? See, most people don't know the rules have changed. Now, some of the vouchers are coming with utility costs. These are the things why you have to go to real estate investment groups. You have to be around people who can tell you these things so you don't get burned. I hope I answered the question about where to go to find your first properties.
Well, you gave
I
some
want to
great
thank you so
resources
much
there.
for talking about that as well, because I even talked with someone last week who is a foreign investor who wants to come in and do Section 8 in the Maryland area. And I'm like, have you ever invested? He's like, oh, I invested in other places. I'm like, well, you better make sure you understand the rules here before you start putting in, money in the DC area, because like you're saying, if you don't know the rules, you can get burned. And it's not as easy to get a Section 8 person in there and 3 months in decide, oh, the unit economics are upside down.
Not easy to get them out, right?
I need to get them out. Like, no.
So you should look at your housing for the state. In Michigan, we have the Michigan housing, we call it MISHDA. And so you should look at that for any state you're planning to do business. And then you should also look at the county has housing and the city has housing. So before you start investing and spending your money, this is the education. It doesn't have to be formalized education that you sat down with me and I educated you with a fee like a coach. You can do some education by contacting your city housing, see what their regulations are, go to your state housing and see what their regulations are, because at the end of the day, you don't want to spend money and you have no way to get money. At the end of the day, real estate is a business. It's not the house. If the house pays you no money, why do you want it?
Right.
I put that in the same scenario as your car. Your car is not going to give you any money unless you go Uber or Lyft. At least now we can get money out of our cars. Once upon a time, you just had a car.
Right.
You paid for the car to service your needs, right? So this is a second property. It's an investment to give you a return on your investment, to give you passive income, or to give you some appreciated value down the road. So as a part of your long-term savings. So these are the things you think about. Is this going to be a part of my long-term savings, hoping to buy a property that's going to appreciate? That's going to determine where I invest and buy that house. Right? Is this going to be part of my passive income, my retirement cash flow? Then you want to make sure you want some stability. So I know people are going to pay their rents.
Mm-hmm.
If my bills are going to be attached to the rent, then you want to make sure you have the most likelihood of getting your rent collection. And these are all, when I say strategies, how is this asset going to service your life's needs? It's for your lifestyle. Some people want just the extra money for time freedom. Oh, what? I got extra property. I just want to take that extra rent and travel. Oh, that's all I want it for. They don't care if it appreciates or not, as long as it's a constant tenant in there and they got cash to just have discretionary income.
Right.
So it's no right or wrong. It's just what is best for you. And from that place, after you've written down, a written plan is the best one. Otherwise, it's just a wish. A written plan and a strategy so you can stay the course and see your success and measure your journey. So now that I know my strategy, then I could take an action.
I have one more question about Section 8. So I'd heard a long time ago that just horror story of a tenant damaging the property
Mhm.
and the landlord having to fix the damages of the property, even though the tenant did the damages, and Section 8 withholding rent payments because the landlord was not in compliance with how the
The
house
inspection.
needed
Yeah.
to be.
Should
You're
have it.
shaking your head. So like these are the types of things that, you know, I definitely think if you're going to do, especially if you're going to do Section 8, talk to multiple people within whatever jurisdiction you're in that currently owns Section 8 properties,
Yeah.
because Section 8, a lot of people like the fact that it's guaranteed income, but it comes with a lot of strings. And lately, probably over the past 5 years, I've known a lot of people getting out of Section 8 housing. I'm
So
not
we
saying
add
for
a
people
point
not to
there.
do it. I'm just saying that, you
Yeah,
know,
I go
I
right
hope
back
people
to the
don't get out of
beginning.
it, because some of our people still need places that are affordable to live.
Well,
So
I'm
I
going to
hope-
put it this way.
Sorry.
I'm not going to just flag everyone as Section 8. I'm going to say property management.
mhm,
So if you can't do the property management of your property, then you need to hire someone who can. And
mhm,
whether it's a Section 8 tenant or any other tenant, you should be managing your property before it gets to that disarray. I inspect my properties quarterly, and I tell them we have an annual inspection. And so therefore, it's my responsibility to make sure I pass that inspection, although you're responsible. So since this is my house, my property, my house, but is your home, the due diligence is on you to keep this home safe, because Section 8 is ensuring that this home is safe for you and your family. You don't know who can control that. So we're in partnership, and I'm going to come in every 3 months. Now, if you rapidly report a break, damage, something, if you let me know quickly, then you can have more quiet enjoyment of the space. But I'm still going to check in at least twice a year. I'm never going to wait till my annual inspection to walk in and be surprised. A month before my inspection, as a matter of fact, I notified some tenants today, hey, guess what? Our annual inspection is coming up in February. This is the middle of January. Let me know which dates in the end of this month or the early part of February is going to work for you, so I can get this house positioned for the inspection.
mhm.
And I have no problem saying, did you break that? And you really need to get that fixed before the inspection.
Mhm.
And why didn't you call me when this broke? Oh, the curtain rod fell out of the closet and your clothes are on the floor and the rod is on the wall. Was it hanging there when you came? Yes. Does that mean I know how to put a rod on the wall? Yes. So where did I get a call?
Right,
I didn't
right.
give it to you that way. So I went over there in my blind. I said, oh, you tearing up my blinds. You only been here 2 months. That's the front of the house. So you know what? We're going to get that replaced. I need that replaced by the end of the month. Would you like me to pick it up and you just reimburse me so I make sure I get the same kind of match? So we're in partnership. My house, your home.
Oh, I like that. Very good. Eddie said, hi, Kimberly, great information. Can you share via post some sites or links to where we can find land bank properties and other potentially good deals? So she gave some resources already, Eddie, but let's talk a little bit more about land banks. There were quite a few questions about land banks.
Okay. So I'm in Detroit, and I think it's called buildingabetterdetroit.org, buildingdetroit.org, and you'll get our land bank properties, those that are already rehabbed and ready for you to purchase. We have some that you can auction and try and be the best bidder in an auction. And then there's some that says sell it, buy it now. You could just go say, look, I saw this property. I want to put this much up. Can you sell it to me? So that's in Detroit. But if you were to Google, if you're in another state, just Google your city land bank properties. So Maryland, if you're in, what's the city in Baltimore land bank properties, and just see what comes up. And then put the state in, Maryland housing, Maryland land bank properties. And then use your respective county as well. And that's how you can find those things. Google is your best friend.
Deshaun said, my mom is getting older. What is the best way to inherit her house?
That should happen now, because if you wait until there's a transition, you will not have access to that property. Since your mother owns that property, the best way to inherit it without going to probate is to one of two things. Go ahead and put that property in a trust where you become the beneficiary upon her death, so it automatically becomes yours. That gives your parent peace of mind, because some parents feel like, I don't want to put my children's name on title with me. They may be out there messing up their credit, and now it's the lien on my house. So that gives your parents some security. Just put the property in a land trust. It's not that expensive. And then it becomes yours. It's upon their transition. But you may want to say, she might say, I'm tired of the house now. I'm going to go ahead and sign it over to you. I'm going to live in some senior citizen housing. You can take it now. I don't want to have this house. It's way too much. So there's different conversations that you can have with your parents. And those conversations are just the same conversation you will have when you sit down with your 18-year-old who's getting ready to go off to college. And you say, this is what you need to know, some of those little parameters. But guess what? Mom is going into the senior years. Dad is going into the senior years. It's time to sit down and have the conversation. They're going off to another level of learning. Their health, their well-being. Now you need to start talking about those medical directives. What do they want done if they're incapacitated? So that's the same conversation as when they sat down with you and said, my baby is grown, get ready to go to college. So now we take our grown selves and we take mom. We say, oh, my mom is now 85 and 95. I need to sit down with mom and get her ready for this phase of life. Have those conversations sooner, better than later. And if there's any assets, cars, homes, everything that's entitled, bank accounts, you will have no access to that. None of it until after you go to probate. And then once you're in probate, you're going to have to give the value of the estate and then pay that estate tax, what some people call death tax. And then they will give you rights. They'll sign all the ownership over to you. If you have a senior that has no ownership of anything, she just want to allocate maybe her furnishings and things of that nature, and then a will would be fine. The will says who gets what. But
I was just going to say,
ownership must be a trust.
I'm going to channel my inner Cherie. Cherie's going to tell you, do not sell Big Mama's house. So
and I'm gonna come through this Zoom lens and say, I'm gonna get you if you sell Big Mama's house.
Please
Don't you take that leverage, that asset you can leverage repeatedly. Can I tell a short story? This house I told you, my first one I purchased, 1994, I purchased this house. My parents were from the South, working. We didn't know about investing and taking care of our tomorrows. So I gave my parents the first property. That property gave them rent. Now the home we lived in, our childhood home, was paid for in 94. They've had it since 63, so it was paid for. My mother used that house and collected rent. I didn't know she was doing it. And then she said, I'm going to buy me a new house. Something like, Ma, you want to go buy a new house now? She said, yes. Before I die, I want a brand new house. I don't want this house I raised the kids in. And she took all that money and she had saved her a good down payment. And her and my dad, 70-ish, mid 70s, early 70s, bought their first home, ranch home, which is better for them because now there was no more stairs. And she stayed here. Now it's typical, they say, that, the woman, Black woman, we're going to our Black men predecease us. We kind of be the long rangers. So if our income is tied to them, we're going to lose some income. So I kept that property. So if either one predeceased the other, they didn't have to change their lifestyle. So that house was refinanced about 5 times. First, my mom just took money out to make a few repairs after they had owned it, needed a roof. And I remember the banker pulling her legs saying, Miss Naylor, you only need 14 for the roof. Just take out 25,000. And my mom said, no, I don't want to go in debt. She said, but you told me the tenant is paying you $1,000 a month. You only got to pay $200 a month. And my mom was like, got a rude education. I mean, I had to just kind of force her hand. And we took the 25,000. I said, Mom, now you got some pocket change. Just go do something you want to do. So now she had that money. And then there was a fire happened with one of the tenants. They had a dryer fire. So there was a claim that gave her some money because we do construction. So we fixed it really cheap. And then she refinanced it a 3rd time. And then when my father did pass, that same house took care of her. Now she's not here. That same house is now sitting clear and free. Guess what? Now I don't have children, but if I did, it would be paying someone's college tuition.
Right.
So one asset can impact a family over and over and over. We've had the house since 94. I think I said that was what, 30 years? 29 years?
Mm-hmm.
29
so 29
years.
years
Yeah.
that house has helped my family. One house.
Mhm.
Wow.
So just get your parents one house and you never have to worry about them coming to live with you.
Hopefully not.
I
That
had a little
part.
selfish motive in mind. I was like, I know I didn't like going back to live with them, and I sure didn't want them to come back and live with me. Get this house for them. Y'all can have the first one I invested in. I keeps it real.
I want to ask a question about no money down, people who say that they want to invest with no money down, or they may not have any money. They may not have 30, 40, $50,000 to put down on a property. What would your advice be to somebody like that?
Well, don't not get into the game of real estate because you're counting your pennies, because there's multiple strategies, and that is a true strategy. Maybe you don't have any money, but like I said, I didn't either, but I had some credit cards sitting in the drawer. I pulled them out and got some money off of them. Back in the day, you could get cash advance, almost equivalent to the balance of the credit limit, but that doesn't happen today. So that may not be the option, but you can structure a deal. We call it creative financing. It's called partnerships. I got the money. You found the deal. So I could put the money up, finance the deal, and then I can cash myself out. There's multiple things that can happen. And then some of these no money downs is the fact that the house has a higher value than what they're asking. You know, it's listed for 75, it's worth 105. So I can go get a mortgage that's gonna, close that gap. So if I go get 80,000, I got cash. I only have to pay the seller 75. And I use that other asset to pay my closing costs because it was worth more than the asking price. So those are the things you have to understand real estate. So you know how to structure the purchase agreement first. We make money on paper first. If we was in a live room, I would say, put it in the chat. We make money on paper first. Write that in the chat. If we was in the room, I'll make you say it out loud, because what you do is structure the deal on paper to see how much money you can make. Then you execute. We make money on paper first. Everyone put that in the chat.
And if it's a multi-unit, is it correct that the financing for that is based on the potential rents, not based on the actual property cost or value, right? It's based on how much money you can get in rents from it.
That's right. So the rent's going to impact what your debt to credit ratio is. If I'm buying a 4-unit, I'm going to live in one of them, and I can qualify for the loan, but I have 3 extra payments that's going to assure the bank. So that's when it can be handy. Now, there are some banks that says, no, I still want you to buy this house just on your merits. It's just that's why your team, you have to have a banking team member so that you know which bank to steer clear of. So one of the things in real estate is you have to have a team. That's your lending team, your real estate agent, your property management, your contractor, your partners who's going to help fund these deals. So you want to always make sure. Now, if you're doing something 5 units or plus, then the whole value of that property is based on the rents. The net operating income is the appraised value of the property, not the brick or the design, like a single family home, not what the house is sold for in the area. So this is all you can get. Based on the rents you're able to collect, you can appreciate, you can have a forced appreciation. So if you buy and you're only getting 800 rent and it's below the market, and now if every lease comes up or somebody leaves, you now move that rent to $1,100. So now you just made an extra $300 and you have 10 units, you got extra $3,000. Your NOI is going to be higher. So now you just forced appreciation of your asset. So that's where multi-units, people like multi-units. That's another strategy, because you can constantly change the rents and change the value of the property, which means your net worth is increasing. But you didn't do anything different, but change the rent.
Very good. We've got a few more questions. Deshawn says, quick follow-up question. The house needs to be renovated. She doesn't have a mortgage, just pays property taxes. where should we get the money to rehab her house? So Deshawn was the question about how does she get access to her mother's house? Okay,
so your mom or may not want to do a finance, she could refinance the house. She could have her mom add her to the title, refinance the house, and then bring it up to code, make all those capital improvements to make the house more modern, just pulling the assets right out of the property. And I just tell people, don't overdo it. If you can go get $15,000, $20,000 out of the house. Now, some lenders are going to say there's a baseline. Maybe they say 25 is the limit. So maybe you say 40 is the limit, but you only need 25. Take the 25,000, improve the house, bring it up to standards. So it's very nice for you because you want to now live there. You don't want to look like what mom had back when she bought it 30, 40 years ago. So it's now modern. You got this nice home. And guess what? You got a stash of cash that you can split with you and mom. Maybe mom wants to do a little more traveling.
Can I give you a word of caution, Deshawn? And that is, be cautious of what bank you're going to. I don't want to call any names of banks, but if you can get money from a credit union or like a local community bank in your mother's neighborhood, that's oftentimes better than the big box banks. So,
and just to add to that, that's because your interest rates are going to be better and they'll be somewhat more lenient because they know you. Remember, it's our relationship. So that's the relationship you want to foster long before you want to borrow money. So since you're thinking about borrowing money on mom's house, find out the local bank. Is there a credit union in your area? And start going there and make a deposit and just ask to speak with someone, ask questions, just so they get to know who you are. So when you walk in the bank, they say, how you doing today, Ms. Naylor? And you say, oh, I'm doing well. So you want to be known as whatever your last name is when you walk through those doors. And when you say you need some money, oh, let me get the mortgage broker on the phone for you right now. You got a minute right now? I sure do. And that's true talk.
yeah,
Build
they
relationships
will.
for everything.
Yeah, a good bank would want a loan to your mother and you because you have a paid off house. You know, especially if you have good credit to go with
You've
it.
demonstrated your capacity to perform.
Yeah.
Anonymous says, what are your thoughts on land tax liens?
I think it's a great way to make money because you create a win-win situation. You can help someone alleviate their life's crisis. And at the same time, you're able to do well for yourself. So you're doing good and doing well at the same time. As a matter of fact, I'm going through the Wayne County and the Macomb County. They've already posted in my area, Michigan. They post those upcoming foreclosures in December. So December 2022, I have the list of every house, every parcel of land in Wayne County and the city of Detroit, in the county of Wayne, that's going up for auction. If they're not paid by March, then they're going to be in the August, September, October auctions. So you can start now. You can write letters. I look for a certain amount that is less likely. If they got $400, they're going to catch that $400. If they own $12,000, it's a good chance they're probably not going to redeem that house. So I thank God for the internet. You don't even have to go anywhere. I go on the site. I get the parcel ID. Some people show ID. Some people show the full address, either or. There's a site called Regrid, regrid.com. You put that property address in there, you get a look at the house, and it may tell you a little bit of history on it. Or you can go to the assessors of that county where the property is, and they may tell you what the taxes are, what's the taxable value, and you can get some information on that property. And if it's something you want to move forward with, then you can write that person a letter. And I always say, save your home. Let us help you save your home. And I will put them in, then you bring a relationship. You're going to try and help them save them. And make it to the end, they just say, you know what? I don't even want to save it. But because of that due diligence you've executed with them, who do you think they're going to consider selling it to first? You. You put them in touch with the community agencies that can help them. You do everything that you can to get them some support. And if it doesn't work or they decide they don't want to move forward, you're the first candidate.
Very good. We've got about 10 more minutes. I'm going to try to get through these two questions. Anonymous says, how do land grants work? I've seen the Block Project on HGTV. They purchase houses for $1,000.
So if they're purchasing houses for $1,000, you said a grant. So I'm not sure. A grant typically means somebody's giving you some money, a land credit. So are they giving them a credit for purchasing in certain areas to rehab? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
So
You
it
can get
might be a
house for
situation
$1
if you
kind of
if you
thing.
buy a block, some of the houses on this property will give you a credit because they want to redevelop that area. It's like a tax incentive they do with a new development. If you develop in this city, we'll give you like a 5-year tax credit, or something like that, or discount it. So it's definitely can be an opportunity if that's an area you already want to invest in. And you see down the road, if they're making these kind of efforts, they want to see that area appreciate in value. So if they're looking to do some improvement, then it could be you're ahead of the curve before the market rises. Just ask a lot of questions. Get with the city council person for that area and ask them what why was that land credits actually put on the books. And that's the other thing I want to mention. Your elected officials are your best friend. You should know them. If you're in Wayne County, you should know who your county commissioner is for your area that you're looking to do real estate. Why? Because just like this question came up, there's some land credits. You call them up. I understand there's a land credit going on over here. Can you tell me what's the history behind that? They'll tell you why they're doing it. They all have a 5, 10, 25-year plan. So if you got to invest in property, we always talk about appreciation, right? Ask them where they're planning to do some capital investments. What does that guarantee? Shop in that area. That means all your property is going to appreciate.
Very good. Final question. We purchased a house for $15,000 and we were looking at selling the house for $100,000. I'm 64 and my husband is 66. What should we do?
Get the money.
What I was thinking. Anonymous, that's a no-brainer.
No.
That's good man.
No, that was just, I don't know all the history behind your question. If you're concerned about taxation, if you live in that house, Gunny, that's all your money. That's all your money, and there's no taxes to pay on that money. If you sold that house and went and bought you another house for $50,000, you still get how much left? Boom, no brainer. But again, the question would be more details. I would need to ask a few more questions and understand if it's a primary resident, an investment property. But even if you had it, as long as you had it over a year, you'll be at the capital gains rate. You won't be at like income rate. If you buy and sell a house in the same year that you acquire, you buy it, fix it up and sell it that same year, then you're going to pay a higher tax. It's going to be like tax, like if you went to job and got the same money. But if you just wait, that 1 year, 1 day, you could drop down to 15% tax bracket. And that's the easier level to offset with the expenses of the property and business to get it ready.
Yeah, so you are able to do all sorts of things in that scenario. Again, like I would need more information as well, but outside of just selling it outright, you're also able to do a lease option for a potential homeowner. And, you're able to Google that and talk to some people in your local area with regards to that as a process. You could offer seller financing to a family, as an option as well. Again, do all your due diligence with regards to those things, but there are a lot of different things you can do. You may want to put it in a trust for the next generation as well, and have your family members start paying you rent.
Yeah. I always think about wealth first.
Mm-hmm.
I always think about wealth first. How can you make impact on the next generation that your great grandchildren are gonna know your name because of what you helped them achieve.
Yeah.
Again, without information around this property, if you need cash flow on the property, like she said, some of those sell lease options or land bank, it will give you a lump sum of cash and some monthly cash flow. So you just have to share a little more information. I'll be providing my information in here, and you're welcome to inquire further if you don't want to put it out here in the total group.
Yeah, wonderful. If you can go, I was actually going to say, if you could add your contact information in the chat and say it for anyone that may be watching us on Facebook and or YouTube, and they may want to invest or live in the Detroit or in that Michigan area. to be able to reach out to you.
Okay, so I'm going to put my name in the chat as I type it. My name is Kimley. You guys haven't called me this, but I'm Kimley H.T. Naylor. That's because I'm the Harriet Tubman of Black Wealth. And I will help you make every decision you make based on the wealth creation it's going to bring you. I'm not going to just say get the cash, because cash is not wealth. I want to say what's the best strategy to position you in the next generation. I am in the Detroit, Michigan area, and I will provide my phone number. I'll actually provide my my cell phone, so you guys have to worry about going through my office, which is 313-402-4997. And if you want to email me, you can email me at knaylor@neilwright.com, and that's RITE.com. And you can reach me with any questions if you have something further. I think I gave you guys a pass last time if somebody wants to do a consultation or whatever. If you guys want to do that, we can do it again. I'll have to go find it. But if you have it from before, we still have it. We're welcome to do that.
Okay, we can add, because I know we have it in the student housing mastermind information. We can find it and pull that out and put it in a newsletter for everyone.
Okay.
Very good. Well, thank you so very much. Azuka, it looks like Cherie answered your question about these sessions. And so I'll just share, these Monday night sessions are open to the public always. It's a way to introduce you to our community and the type of knowledge that we're sharing from a community standpoint. The sessions that are member only would be our Bet on Black pitches, where we bring the deal flow that we're sourcing for you to add to your investment portfolio, all of our masterminds, and any special guests that we have. Those are member only sessions. But these Monday night sessions are free to the public. You just have to have a willingness to be fed to come and join us. So we definitely did that this evening. Kimley, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with the 10K Project once again.
Yeah.
I walked away again with some gems. I am on the journey to my multiple doors. I want 10 doors before the end of this year. So every time you feed into me, I get more and more information that prepares me for what I'm getting ready to do personally. So thank you so much. We know that time is a gift, and for you to come and spend some of yours with us is very, very well appreciated. So thank you so very much.
You're more than welcome. As I stated, Black Wealth, I think that's how I found you guys initially. I was like, oh, wow, I love this concept. And I think the more we expose ourselves to those wealth building vehicles that we just didn't know existed, because we were strictly in survival mode. We were just trying to eat, pay the rent. And now for those of us who have had some successes or some achievements, I like to call them achievements, because success has no end. We've had some achievements. And so we want to take that knowledge, and it's our responsibility to share the wisdom. I'm proud to say I'll be entering the next decade of my life. I'll be entering the 60s. And I really want to position myself to be an elder of wisdom, to support my 25 to 35-year-old sisters and brothers, because they are the mothers and fathers of our Black children. And so this wealth that we had to fight 60 years to obtain, we want them to have it as ease and flow. It's just the norm. Honey, darling, you got to save your money because you got to buy a house. It's just common knowledge. You got to look at your portfolio. Have you guys reviewed your numbers? That kind of conversation amongst our 10 and 12-year-olds should be the norm. And well before that, but definitely. And so that's why I do what I do.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everybody. Kimley's information was put in the chat, so grab it up pretty quickly. And with that, the Bet on Black pitches tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. East. And then on Wednesday, we have the makeup session for the Student Housing Masterclass, that final session on renting the rooms and cashing those checks is going to be on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Ms. Beverly will be here on January 30th. If you want the instructions to sign up for the Business Grant Masterclass, the10kproject.com/instructions in order to find the instructions to sign up for the Grant Masterclass for businesses. Other than that, we'll see you all tomorrow evening.
Tomorrow, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Have a great
Have a
evening.
good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time for joining us.
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks, ladies, for allowing me to join you again. Appreciate it.
Thank